gluten-free would be ideal, but I ordered this from Turtle Boy, actually. His, oh my gosh, TV Dig. I can't remember the exact website name, but my husband right here somewhere, he bought it for me. But this is from Turtle Boy.
You can get them on Amazon too.
Okay, no problem.
Bye.
Thank you.
Guys, I am cutting out.
No problem. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Love
See you next time. We'll see you.
Yes.
Have a great time.
Yeah, to make it up north.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We're going to look for you.
Always in front of the courthouse.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Okay, we are live on Facebook in the group for Standout DC, Free Karen Reed. And we just took a little lap around the White House, holding the signs, and we're back here. And I'm gonna ask a few questions. So what brings you to DC?
Well, first and foremost, we want justice for Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe. And we want justice for Karen Reed, who's being framed for his murder. It's a cover-up in Canton, Massachusetts, and it runs deep. It goes all the way to the state police and the district attorney's office, and we want it to come to light. We want justice for John and Karen and Sandra Birchmore and Enrique Delgado Garcia and everybody else who is a victim of Massachusetts corruption and cover-ups.
Karen Reed is factually innocent of the murder of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. So in order to have justice for his murder, she needs to be acquitted of all charges, and they need to investigate the case from the start to put the people who murdered her in and to hold them accountable and put them in prison.
Okay, so where are we now in the case?
Well, as Lauren said, was a hung jury on 3 counts, and right now she is set to be retried on all 3 counts on January 29th, 2025. If a couple of the charges get dismissed, or preferably all 3 of them, then that trial will occur, and they can look for the people who committed this heinous crime of killing a Boston police officer and leaving him to die in the cold.
House long to die in the cold.
Yeah.
Said by Jennifer McCabe at 2:27 a.m. Before John's body was discovered.
Right, exactly. Before it was discovered.
House long to die in the cold. Jennifer McCabe, 2:27 a.m. January 29th, 2000.
So where are we on the justice side of it? Somebody asked me that question who was walking by, and they wanted to know where are we with like the police corruption side of it.
That's a really good question. And as Lauren also said, the corruption goes deep. It's obviously corrupt at the local police level, which is in this case the Canton Police in Massachusetts. It's the Massachusetts State Police and the District Attorney's Office in Norfolk County. And currently neither one of us is from Massachusetts. And we came to the capital of the United States because this needs to be looked at the federal level. Beyond the FBI is already investigating corruption. It needs to be looked at the federal level for justice, because justice doesn't seem to be achievable in Canton or Massachusetts.
Where are you from?
I am from Massachusetts originally. I grew up on Cape Cod, but now I live in Northern Virginia, just outside DC. But Massachusetts will always be my home, and I will always be proud of it, and I will always stand up for what's right, and to make sure that my home state is represented by good people.
That's
and
right.
It's not just bad enough that they killed John O'Keefe, but they framed somebody else for doing it. They were willing to kill Karen's boyfriend and ruin her life afterwards. It's a cover-up.
I'm also from Massachusetts, so I can relate to that feeling of remembering where you came from.
Always.
Yeah.
I feel very passionate about this because of the fact that it is my home and it feels close to home. And my husband is from Norfolk County, and it's just it feels very personal. And I have to stand up for what's right.
Yeah.
And freeing Karen Reed and getting justice for John O'Keefe is what's right.
If this could happen to her, it could happen to anybody.
They thought that Karen would plead out. They thought that they could put the pressure on her and make it seem like all this. cards were stacked against her. But Karen has the resources and ability to defend herself, and a lot of people don't. If she didn't have the resources that she had to defend herself, then she would probably be in jail right now.
She has a supportive family. Yep. She now has a very broad community of support, and she has excellent defense attorneys. Think about the poor person, maybe a single mother living paycheck to paycheck, and make no mistake, Karen Reed's life has been destroyed by this. She no longer has the job she held. She's no longer a college professor. She had to sell her home, and she's having to raise money. So it's not been easy for her. Imagine if she didn't have the support she had. And you're right, it could happen to anyone. I come from Pennsylvania and came here to stand out. We had a bunch of people today, and we walked the area, and we were stopped by a number of people who knew the case and were very supportive, and we also were stopped by people who were interested in the
Very
case.
curious. Yeah, we had some great conversation. We did a street interview with an independent journalist who walked by and really resonated with our message, and we talked for a long time. Like, even after the interview ended, we were just talking about how this everything's connected. Justice for Karen and John is justice for everybody who has been victimized by police corruption. If it can happen to Karen, it can happen to anybody, and that's why this matters. That's why this matters. It's not enough just to free Karen. We also need to get justice for John and hold the real killers responsible.
So you're planning on doing another event in a few months over the winter time?
Yes. So sometime after the inauguration, when DC is a little more settled down, we plan to come and do a bigger, more organized event. We want to actually make contact and talk to the senators and representatives down here. We want to let the press know that we're coming, and we want to have like a big number of people coming too. We really, really want to get the message of Karen Reed out there. And we'll probably be doing more small standouts along the way on a weekend too, but the bigger event that we have planned will probably be on a weekday, just because that is going to be that's when the people who work in DC are here, and that's when we're going to get your message heard the most.
And it was a trial run
It
for
was.
us.
I think it was a great
Wow,
one.
it really
so
was
successful.
I mean, we were so surprised that the people that were interested
And a great response.
and the really key is this is not an anti-law enforcement message.
No.
This is an anti-corruption message.
Yes.
This is a message of demanding justice.
Yes. We are not anti-cop, we are anti-cop corruption.
And in fact, this is about a cop who was killed.
It was a Boston police officer who was murdered, and none of his colleagues even showed up to his funeral or to the trial. But when Michael Chestnut was brutally killed on the job, the whole department showed up and had his back, but nobody had John's back. The difference is John is incredible because what happened to Michael Chestnut, the police weren't responsible for that. It was a tragedy, right? But they're involved in what happened to John.
Police officer John O'Keefe died. He was killed in the home of another Boston police officer, and that officer didn't go to his funeral. And that officer has been leading a cover-up of John's death and is okay with pinning it on an innocent woman. And that's just not acceptable in the United States. It shouldn't be acceptable anywhere.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes, this is all alleged, and this is all our opinions based on the evidence that is available.
And listening to every single minute of the trial, if not more than once.
This is all opinions and alleged. Opinions and alleged. Right? Yes,
Yeah.
That it goes without saying that this is all opinions and alleged. Right? But and the other thing is that Brian Albert never came out of the house, despite the fact that there was a dead body on his front lawn. He never came out of the house and talked to the police. And not only was there a dead body on his front lawn, but it was his supposed friend and colleague. That doesn't make much sense. And then they went and sold the house and got rid of their dog.
Yes, and when you look at the wounds on Officer John O'Keefe's arm, it's clear they were the results of a animal bite, most likely a large dog.
The FBI came in and right in the beginning, before trial, the FBI came in and said that John wasn't hit by a car. The injuries don't match. So how did a trial even happen? If the FBI, it's interesting that on multiple occasions now, the Massachusetts State Police have come to different conclusions than the FBI. It's kind of funny how that works.
And so if best case scenario, they dismiss the next trial, we're still going to be here because we still want justice for John O'Keefe.
Absolutely. It's not enough to free Aaron from these charges. We need to hold the true culprit responsible. And we also need to keep fighting because this case has brought so much other corruption to light with Sandra Bertior and Enrique Delgado Garcia. This isn't going to be over once Karen is free. We have a lot more work to do to clean up Massachusetts.
This is so important.
It's very important. If it can happen to Karen, it can happen to anybody.
And John.
And John, if it can happen to
Justice for John.
This is justice for John.
John, there can't be justice for John O'Keefe if the wrong person is put in prison.
That's right.
No one would want that for any of their loved ones. The real culprit or culprits need to be held responsible. That's justice. And then clean up how this was investigated, how it was handled. How is it that the Massachusetts State Police didn't interview the people in the house immediately after this occurred? It took days before they sat down and talked to these people. They didn't even speak to them in a public building. They were interviewed in someone's home, in their kitchen. The witnesses were commingled. That doesn't happen. Anyone who's ever watched a Law and Order episode knows that you don't put the witnesses all together.
No protocols were followed with collecting evidence, interviewing witnesses.
Can you say that one more time because of us sirens?
Sorry.
No.
All of the protocols for this type
Yeah.
of stuff were just not followed. They collected evidence in red solo cups. They interviewed witnesses in a group in a private residence. Like none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. It's just crazy.
So we will be here probably in February, maybe?
I think it's going to be February. Yep, we're going to wait till after the
Cold in DC in February, but you know, and nothing anybody from New England can't handle.
Probably, yeah, it's really warm. I live in this area now, and it's definitely warmer. So
Yeah, it's a little bit warmer, but it's cold up here because we got the fields and the winds. But you know, nothing a New Englander can handle.
Exactly.
So I'm just going to swing around and show a little view of the White House and show where we are right now. Unfortunately, they have fences up because they're doing construction on the statues. So they're restoring the statues here. So that's why we're not right out in front. You can see the Washington Monument behind the White House. We had several other people out here with us earlier. This is now the event is basically over, and we just wanted to go live and let you know how everything went. It was a great event. We talked to a lot of people. We had some people here, and it was great taking a walk around the White House and having people come up and say, "Oh, Karen Reed, I know about that case, and where are we now?" And so anyway, thank you, Facebook, for joining us. And please join us in February if you're at all fortunate enough to come down. We're going to do some lobby events. We're going to ask nicely, and then we're going to come down here and maybe try to get some press and some maybe possibly go by the FBI building, the J. Edgar Hoover building, and hold some signs. Very peaceful, very beautiful day here in the park. Hope you all are having a great day, and that's it for now. For Karen Reed.